Next, we are going to create the functionality to edit selected individual row of data. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is that we need to actually add a new stored procedure. So let me pin this first. Okay, previously we have created a stored procedure for display the responses and insert the responses. So now we are going to create a new one. So we right click, add new stored procedure. So let's say that we are going to give this name as SP update response. Okay, so this is the name of our stored procedure. So there are several parameters. Okay, let me just delete. So add, let's say the first parameter is ID because you want to update based on certain ID. So this is integer. Okay, the next parameter would be the name. Okay, maybe we want to change the name. So this is varchar 50. Okay, next we have the email. So the parameter for the email, this is also varchar 50. Okay, the next parameter would be the phone. So this is phone. Phone is varchar 12. Okay. Okay, and we have the last one, which is this is will attend. Okay, this is bit. Okay, this is boolean. So as for the database, it becomes the type bit. Okay, now what is the statement or command to update? So this is update. So now we update the table. So our table name is guest response. Okay, update guest response. So we have okay, set name. So this is name.
Okay.
Okay, so we have the condition. So the condition will be where, okay, ID. So this is based on the table, equals to, this is the parameter. Okay, so this is the start procedure. So once we have done this, we click update. Click update database. Okay, so update completed successfully. Let us just refresh the Server Explorer. Yes, we have this one. Okay, so now we are done with this. So next we are going to add a new action. Okay, public. Okay, action result. Okay, let us give the name of this action edit. Okay, so let us just type this first, and this is return view. Okay, actually there will be two parts of this edit action. The first part is when we first actually click that particular action link. So it will display the details of the particular row of data based on the selected ID. So in general, actually the process will be similar, or it's not similar, it's basically the same with this one. Okay, this is the same basically. So what we are going to do is that we are going just to take this, so int, because we are going to pass the value here, ID. This is the parameter to accept the value from the action link. Now the rest of this is exactly the same. So what I'm going to do, is that I'm just going to replace this and paste this here. So this is exactly the same. Okay, now because this is actually, there are two parts. One is when we first actually click that particular action link, and secondly, once we have made some changes to that particular data that we want to update. So basically there will be two parts. So one, this is edit. So this in general, so we are going to put this as HTTP GET. Okay, so this is HTTP GET. So we need another one. So another one would be HTTP post. So here we have action result. So this is edit. Now the only difference is that the parameters. Okay, for the HTTP GET, so the parameter that we pass is the ID. So let us just complete this first. So I'm going to put this HTTP. This is HTTP post. Okay. Now, this particular edit. So what we will do is that once we have actually made some changes, so meaning that we can change the name, we can change the email, the phone number, and whether that particular guest can attend or not. So that is actually representative of the data that is actually represented by the model itself. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to actually create, okay, now this is the class. The class is guest response. This is from the model, and I'm going to actually create an instance name. So this is an instance of that particular model. So here we have guest response. This is the class from the model, and this is actually the instance name. Okay, now so basically this is actually still an error because we have not finished typing this. Okay, so what we are going to do is that we are going to actually, here it will not return a view, but once we have completed the editing, it will return back to the display search response view. So meaning that it will display this part. Okay, it will go back to the list of rows, and we have the edit, the details, edit and delete action link. So we want to go back to this. So what we can do here is that rather than return view, so we don't return view, but we do return something. So we return, we go to redirect. Okay, redirect to action. So meaning that it will jump to action. So which action? So we specify the action that we are going to jump to. So we redirect to display search responses. So meaning that once we have finished with this, okay, whatever steps that we have here, it will actually redirect. So it will jump to the display search response. So this is an action. So this action, which action is this? This action. Okay, so this action. So this is actually the search. Okay, so this is the action that we want. Okay, display search responses. Okay, so okay, now this is what we will do. Okay, now let us actually type in the update, how to update. So basically, so similarly, so we have SQL connection. Okay, so this is gone, new. Okay, so this is actually the same connection. Okay, let me just scroll this first. Okay, next we are going to create the command. Okay, now the name of the command is that we are going to execute the stored procedure ASP update response. So this would be okay, and the connection would be so this ASP update response. So we need to specify that this is stored procedure. So cmd command type equals to command type dot stored procedure. So after this, we need to actually add the values to the parameters. So we need to set this as follows. Okay, now after we have done this, okay, the first one, we have add with value ID guest response ID. So what I'm going to do now is that I'm just going to copy this and make the necessary changes. Okay, next we are going to execute this. So we use try catch and finally. So let me type in the structure first. So this is try. So catch. Okay, this is catch, and finally okay, so we have try, this is open, okay. So in general, uh, here there is a semicolon here. Okay, so basically if it is successful, it will open, okay, and it will execute this non query. It's non query because it is updating, it's not select. If there is an error, it will return view, and finally it will actually close. Okay, so regardless of what, it will close. Okay, now once we have done this, of course we are not done. Okay, so we have done this. Let us create the view. So right click, add view, So now the view name will be edit. So we select the class. So basically we choose empty, so the model class would be guest response, and I click add. I'm going to delete this div. Okay, now we need a form here, so basically let us using, okay, this is HTML begin form. So this is actually one HTML helper. Okay, I'm going to control KD, so it will actually readjust. Okay, now similarly, so what we need to have is that we need to have some form of a table. Oh, sorry. What we need to have is a table so that this can be displayed accordingly. Now, here, the formatting of this is very similar to when we display the details. Okay, so rather than to type everything one by one, okay, what I can do is actually I can go copy and paste. So for example, let's say that go to the view, let me open the view. So the view just now is details. Okay, so what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to copy this particular table, okay, this whole of HTML table, copy it here. So go to this edit, okay, so I overwrite the whole thing. Okay, now let us go one by one because we need to make some changes. Okay, now the first one, this is just display, is like a header, but it does not function like a header. It's just basically it displays that this is a student ID or this is ID and so on. Okay, now here the first one, ID, because we do not edit the ID, so it is display for, because ID is something that you cannot edit because it is the primary key for this. Okay, but name we can edit. So what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to change this to, we have editor for. So this is editor for. Okay, so this is, so what does editor for do? So editor for will actually give you some form of a control that allows you to edit the data inside. And by default, if the data is of varchar type and so on, or even just a float, so it will change this with a text box. And if this is like a bit or a boolean, so it will give a checkbox. Okay, so basically it is smart enough to identify this. So I'm going to copy, just replace this with editor for. Okay, so this is the table. Now we need a button because once we have made the changes, we need to be able to submit the changes. So this is a normal HTML input. Okay, so this is input. So type equals to submit, and we want to display the submit text on top of the button. So this is it. Okay, let us save everything. Now let us try run this. So again, when we run, because everything here we run from the display search response, because you need to pass the ID. Okay, let me run this. Okay, now let us try to edit something. Okay, you see, we have this. So if I am to actually edit, let's say we take Muhammad, this is this ID number 4. So I click edit. You can see that this data has been displayed similar to like displaying the details, but the difference is that this is actually what we call this text box that we can change. For example, this is Ali, and you see this for the bid, this is represented by checkbox, so Ali is attending. So if I am to submit, it will return. So this is redirect, it will go to this view, display search response. Okay, see, this is now number 4 is Muhammad Ali. Okay, so if we are to actually edit this again, so Muhammad, this is Muhammad, and Muhammad cannot attend. Click submit. You see, you have this Muhammad again.